Anytime, pasok na tayo.
Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome to Front and Center as we focus developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be front and center. You can watch this program live on our Facebook page, Radyo Pilipinas World Service, and you can catch up this program later via our YouTube channel, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. And also, you can hear us live on our audio streaming at Evox PBS receiver app. So join us for another edition of Front and Center with your host, Jerome Toledo.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Filipinos are publicly calling out the corruption, yet some people are still being involved in receiving bribes. Why do we still justify bribery despite our crusade against corruption? A recent report from the World Values Survey, and that's the seventh wave, revealed that 3 out of 10 Filipinos, or roughly 30.6% of Filipinos, believe bribery is never justifiable. The lowest rates, or that's the lowest rate among surveyed Asian countries. And this findings paints a troubling picture. Despite widespread frustration with corruption in politics, in public life, primarily the government, many still see the bribery as an acceptable behavior. And to better understand the deeper social and political forces behind this paradox, we now have on the line the political sociologist from the Department of Sociology of the University of Santo Tomas, Associate Professor Frederick Ray. Good morning, Associate Professor Ray. Thank you so much for joining us in the program Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This is your host, Jerome Toledo.
Thank you, Jerome, and thank you for once again inviting me.
Okay, so only 3 out of 10 Filipinos believe bribery is never justifiable. So, what does this exactly mean, Professor Ray? What does this tell us about the public norms and values in the Philippines when we talk about this issue?
Yeah, it really is a troubling research result or output. We have to worry about it. At the onset, I was imagining, before this conversation, I was imagining that probably the tools that were used to measure our culture, to measure our way of life, our practices, our habits, may not be accommodated by the instruments that were used by this corruption index surveys.
Mm-hmm.
However, when this issue related to the DPWH and how massive, how deep this phenomenon or this anomaly is going on, I have to reframe, I have to rethink that probably what the international communities are saying may be true. And let me anchor my assertion from some theoretical foundations. First, probably it was a recreation of truth or a reframing of truth in the postmodern age where truth was, or truths were dislocated. In the postmodern era, we acquired this capacity to dislocate truth centers, and therefore we manufacture, we create our own truths. And having said that, it becomes legitimated or it becomes acceptable for us to think that corruption or bribery is a normal cost of politics. It
Mm.
becomes a contest of narratives between what is normal in politics and what is unacceptable structural abuse. And this
Mm-mm.
we have, I think we have to reconsider as a nation.
Mm-mm.
We are in the midst of this massive corruption issue, and the framing of this corrupt practices should be revisited and reevaluated for us to arrive at a collective consciousness on
Mm.
what is acceptable and unacceptable to us as a nation, as a people.
Mm. Okay. Is this a bribery culture? Is this a purely institutional culture or economic?
It becomes part of what we call our habitus, our way of life. As
Mm.
mentioned earlier, it was tolerated and is tolerated.
Mm.
But the good thing is the massive mobilization that took place almost a week ago allows us to imagine that the Filipino people will never accept such kind of malpractice or structural abuses. It may be a part of our habit, our culture. Corruption may be a part of it, especially in politics, but we are being assured by our collective from the highest to the lowest ranks of our society, from the celebrities up to the ordinary people, that we will never accept such kind of abuses or corrupt practices.
Mm. Okay. So meaning to say, the Filipino people are starting to waking up in, and they're starting to calling out politicians who are being involved in anomalous or in anomalies, for example, the flood control projects. So our Filipinos are starting to become more politically conscious when it comes to this issue of anomalous projects.
I want to think that the Filipinos are always vigilant. It so happened that we are more patient probably than the rest of the world. We were
Mm-mm.
always and are always vigilant.
Mm.
We wait for um, the right moment for us to express our disgust, and it exploded on last Sunday. And this is simply a reminder that the Filipino people are binded by some sort of morality, that
Mm-mm.
there is still a sense of universality, a code of conduct, a moral compass between and among us.
Mm-hmm.
But we have also to um, take notice, and we have to be aware at all times that there is this sense of absorbing capacity of the masses where issues like this
Mm-mm.
becomes a recurring cycle, and the massa becoming passive recipients of
Mm-mm.
corrupt practices, corruption news. So therefore, we have to be alert, we have to be mindful
Mm-mm.
that we are we're not supposed to be passive recipients, but we have to become active agents of social transformation.
Mm. Mhm.
Sometimes events like this becomes a hyper real spectacle. It becomes a spectacle. It becomes a circus. And over time, we forget, we become satiated, we become consumed by this news
Mhm.
with this news, and losing what we really, or losing sight of what we really intend to do.
Mm.
This is what we call in the social sciences simulacra.
Mm. Okay, I see. So that's interesting point. But Professor Ray, while this survey mentions that the Philippines is the most tolerant in terms of bribery, but at the same time, on that same report, countries like Japan and Singapore, or even Thailand or some ASEAN countries are strongly rejects bribery. So why do you think the countries I've mentioned has a strong sense of rejection when it comes to bribery?
Let me transfer a little bit some blame to our legislators and our politicians.
Mm.
They are supposed to be, as asserted by Aristotle, the best teacher of virtues. But in the past few days, we noticed that our politicians appear to have lost their moral compass. They themselves are confused. They even suggested that laws should be bended. They even suggested that we can make some businesses inside national penitentiary.
Mm.
These are dangerous assertions,
Mm-hmm.
but also manifestations of an absolute misunderstanding of statesmanship
Mm.
by departing from the expectation that they are supposed to be the teachers and embodiment of virtues. Our legislators as the
Mm.
teachers of virtues.
Mm, okay. All right. So, jumping to another angle, Professor Ray, but still, we're not going away with this bribery issue. But would like to ask this point to you. So, how might the public respond? Or how might public responses differ if questions frame bribery in different everyday scenarios? For example, when we some drivers trying to bribe a traffic enforcer to settle the traffic violations. Versus the government contracts that we are discussing right now. So, what could be the difference in public responses?
We have to revisit our integration mechanisms within our societal or social order. When I say integration mechanisms, these are laws, institutions like our courts, our police officers, our lawyers. These are integration mechanisms that keep each and every one of us
Mm-mm.
in due bounds or our desires circumscribed. However, when we look closely into that integration mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
we know very well that these integration mechanisms are selective.
Mm-hmm.
When we say selective, our justice system appears to be punitive to some but very relaxed to others.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, there's this discourse about classes, that only the rich experience special treatment from our laws and the poor will experience the full extent of the law. So we have to look into our integration mechanisms, our laws, our institutions implementing these laws, and make sure that our laws are predictable, consistent, and certain. This uncertainty allows our people to be confused, allows us to experience what we now experience, yung moral crisis natin. And so we have to strengthen our integration mechanisms in order to be certain about ourselves, to be certain about what is acceptable and what is a deviation beyond or away from our norms, our laws, what is accepted behavior.
Okay. Okay. So earlier you mentioned about the like the uh, cultural and historical aspect of this issue regarding the bribery. But in the education setting, how or what role does education play in shaping values around corruption and integrity, Professor Ray?
Education plays a lot. I always assert that we need to control the mind in order to control the body.
Mm,
We have to engage in a massive educational revolution or intellectual revolution in order for us to reframe, in order for us to reorient our national psyche. For example, reorienting our national psyche toward what is good and abandoning all that is malicious.
mm,
There is a sense of confusion, and therefore we err, as asserted by our philosophers. We commit errors, we commit mistakes because we are ill-informed,
mm,
uninformed, ill-educated. And therefore, I think education plays a vital role, a significant role in transforming the Philippines from something that is less uh, beautiful into a more spectacular, a more noble
mm.
uh, country.
Mm. Oh, okay, okay. So it's not just about institutional, but also societal change. Oh, by the way, a societal change must be required so that the practice of bribery in every Filipino lives must come to an end. Is that correct, Professor Ray?
Yes, we have to um, break the walls separating the learned and the less fortunate, or the less learned, the less educated.
Mm.
Our academic institutions should go beyond the restrictive walls of the university and let
Mm-mm.
um, knowledge, once exclusive to the universities, be shared to the people. It is only when we inform, we educate, we make our people intelligent that true democracy can work. And therefore, education plays really a is central role in social transformation and also in individual or personal reform.
Okay. So, having said that, so what could our lawmakers and even government agencies can do to address this long-standing cultural or this behavior of bribery? What can the government can do to to veer away or eliminate this bribery culture into our system?
I propose that first of all, our statesmen and our stateswomen should revisit what really is expected from them, what really is statesmanship or stateswomanship. Stateswomanship is all about the collective good, the welfare of all.
Mm,
And therefore, if we accept bribes, if we commit corruption, this violates the very essence, the very spirit of statesmanship.
mm,
And our suggestion is for our legislators, our policymakers to equip themselves with
mm,
the correct knowledge, with the correct information of what it takes to be a statesman or a stateswoman. Second point, the academe is ripe for the taking. The
mm,
academe can provide us, our legislators, the government, the
mm,
academe can provide or lend some resources, intellectual energies
mm,
to assist us in forging a nation that is united by a collective identity, by a conscience directed toward collective good.
Mm. Okay. All right. So that's a very interesting point regarding that. One last thing, Professor Ray, in what ways can civil society then? So I've asked a question about the of what should our lawmakers do to address this issue? But in what ways can civil society and or grassroots movements influence the normalization or rejection or bribery, or meaning to say to address this issue of bribery, so that we can raise the bar when it comes to when it comes to integrity.
The civil society is always a source of energy that
Mm.
allows us to check
Mm.
and re-examine functions, dysfunctions of our institutions. And therefore, we have to
Mm.
provide and give credit to our civil society, our NGO organizations for the labors that they render in making sure that our government is upright.
Mm.
Our civil society organizations, our NGOs are always with us, providing us the platform, providing us the energy, making sure that our democracy works. And
Mm.
I think at this point in time, I can never ask more from our NGOs and from our civil society organizations. They are doing their part. They are functioning
Mm.
very well.
Okay. Meaning to say, to address this bribery issue that is being with us in our national entity or psyche, it would need a whole of a nation approach, not just whole of government, but whole of nation, but even whole of society approach to address this, so that we can eliminate this behavior.
Let me once again transfer the obligation to the most qualified, to the most prominent, to the most powerful. Our politicians are supposed to be the bearer of virtues. If we want to transform our society, they have to set an example. If we as ordinary people see our politicians as corrupt and get away with it, then there is this sense of confusion, as mentioned earlier, and therefore we wonder, we explore, we test the waters if we as ordinary citizens are capable of bending or violating laws like our statesmen and women, and of course get away with it. So I think the moral obligation lies more on our
Politician.
statesmen and women by setting a good example.
So it's up to our politicians if they will initiate a change to address this or to eliminate this bribery culture. It's up to our politicians and also lawmakers to address this, because
Yes.
this bribery culture is been with the Filipino society for a long time. During the colonization periods, right down to the right after our colonial masters grant us independence, it still remained.
they are the centers of power. And our belief is that if we want to change the system, we can only change the system from within, meaning structural reforms, intellectual revolution can only take place when the centers of power initiates these reforms or transformations. But if we keep uh, prioritizing our self-interest, then our people will notice, and our nation will be broken into several pieces. Our nation will be highly individualized.
I see. All right. That's a very interesting discussion regarding this bribery culture, and I hope the country will move forward in addressing this issue so that we can promote transparency and also accountability regarding this, so that we can eliminate the bribery and also the corruption once and for all. Anyway, thank you so much, Associate Professor Frederick Ray, political sociologist from the Department of Sociology of the University of Santo Tomas, for joining us in the program.
Thank you, Jerome.
You provided a lot of
best.
insights. Thank you so much and have a good day. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
And you just heard and watched the interview of the program with the Associate Professor Frederick Ray, political sociologist from University of Santo Tomas, as we discuss about these the report coming from the World Values Survey that mentions that 3 out of 10 Filipinos are roughly 30.6% of Filipinos believe bribery is never justifiable. And Professor Ray mentioned and reiterated that the change to address, or the change lies on our lawmakers and our politicians, if we can change the culture of bribery and corruption in the government. And with that, we now conclude this edition of Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Together with our production team and technical personnel, this is your host, Jerome Toledo. Until next time, mabuhay.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.